I said I'm going to speak about Shabbos classes. It's a shtickle mistake because there's not that much to talk about in Shabbos classes. But there's a lot of very interesting stories about glasses and halacha, agar George. So there's plenty what to talk about. I apologize in advance if it's not so connected to Shabbos classes. It might just be glasses. The Shabbos part of it might be lowercase. I'll start with a story that actually has to do with Shabbos classes. Rabbi Zriel Orbach is married to Rabbi Yashiv's daughter. So meaning she's a daughter of, so Rabbi Zriel's wife is the daughter of Rabbi Yashiv. She once went shopping for glasses. I think it's a well-known story. And she was looking into a pair of like the photo grade glasses, the ones that turn like, they turn into sunglasses when you go outside and close off when you come inside. And she's sitting there and she's debating back and forth if she should get them. And she tells the proprietor of the store, my shver says these are asur to wear on Shabbos. My father says these are mutter to wear on Shabbos. I'm not sure what to do. And the guy, she's hemming and hawing. The guy finally looks at her and he says, your shver, your father, call a rav. What are you making everybody crazy about? So glasses could sometimes be a taka shayla chamura, and hilchos Shabbos or otherwise. Now, just there's another I guess two fascinating glasses stories before I talk about the hilchos Shabbos element, the Shabbos glasses element. Two fascinating glasses stories. There's a story with the Pnei Yeshua. I don't know if I've heard the story. It's a famous story. The Pnei Yeshua, in some of his letters that he wrote when he was older, he writes that he's blind or come out blind. He really can't see well. He writes certain people were writing to him to involve himself in certain this or that, and he says, "I'm come out blind. I can't see anything. I can't write." And he probably had very thick glasses, that enabled him to see a little bit when he was old. Now, the Pnei Yeshua was heavily involved in the machlokes of Rabbeinu Shneipsitz and Rabbi Yaakov Emden. People think Rabbi Yaakov Emden was the main leichem because he was in a certain sense, but alongside the Rabbi Yaakov Emden, one of the other main leichem against Rabbeinu Shneipsitz was the Pnei Yeshua. Ad kedei kach that the Pnei Yeshua, the last, I don't know what it is, 5-7 years of his life, he lost his job. Pnei Yeshua was a retired Rav. He was fired because he got so involved in this machlokes and the different sides and whatever, he ended up losing his job, and Pnei Yeshua was a balabas for the last 5-7 years of his life. And he traveled a little bit around from town to town, and he was in all sorts of little places, not dafka where he was famous and well known. There's a story told that there was a family in one of the little villages that the Yeshua ended up in, where a child was born blind, couldn't see anything, and the child was a precocious child, a bright child, and he was very good at picking up information, and he learned chumash bal peh. They taught him, but the child couldn't see. That he was taka blind and gansen, and the child loved svarim. He would always go to shul and he would rub his fingers over the svarim. He would smooth out the creases of the svarim, rub the letters. There was no braille yet. This is before Louis Braille. This is before the person who invented braille was even born. So he would go and he would chachkizach with the svarim. And it says he went one day to the Medrash as a young boy, I don't know how old he was, and he found an old sefer on the shelf, and he took it off, and he was massaging the cover. He opened it up to look at the sheets, and inside there was a pair of glasses that someone left behind, like a thin pair of glasses that somebody left behind in the sefer. And he takes the glasses out and he puts them on, and suddenly he could see. And he takes them off, he can't see. Back, forth, a few times, he sees this is a crazy thing that's happening to him. He's able to see with these glasses. He quickly puts them in his pocket, and he goes home. He doesn't tell anybody. He comes home with a new bounce in his step, and everyone's asking him what's going on. Tries to keep it a secret till eventually he says that I have this new pair of glasses, and with it I could see, and no one could believe him. They do all sorts of tests, and taka, when he wears these glasses, he could see. So he said, "Where'd you get these? Where'd you find these magical glasses from?" So he says, "There's a sefer in that small shul in Shtat. There's a sefer there." They go back, they find the sefer. It's an old Kabbalah sefer, an old beat-up Kabbalah sefer that's sitting on the shelf there. No one knows whose sefer it is, how it ended up here. They find some old Jew there who remembers that there was this, person who came by, Falk, he was a big Rav somewhere, and they piece together piece by piece, and they figure out that the Pnei Yeshua had been there at some point with the sefer, had left it behind, and these are the Pnei Yeshua's glasses. So now, this kid wore these glasses for the rest of his life. He became a successful person, a gvir. He moved to the town of Lemberg, and there was a family in Lemberg, and there still is. This name still exists. It's hard to know if this is the reason for the name, but Mizak Diva, that the name Brill, it's a name that exists, is from this family. From this original person who was only able to see because of the glasses of the Pnei Yeshua. When he died, all his children, obviously, he was a wealthy man. He left over a lot of different assets and different things for the children to fight over. But of course, every child in the family said, I want nothing, I'll just take the glasses. I need nothing else, the glasses. And in the sichsuch, as they're fighting about it, the glasses fell, they broke, they shattered. Each person took a small piece of glass, a little piece of the nose piece, the frame, and the glasses are no more anymore. And I can't tell you if the story ever happened or not, but it's definitely a fascinating story in regards to glasses. One more just fascinating story that I came across, again, nothing to do with Shabbos, is that this, the Reb Pinchas Akaretz in his Sefer Imrei Pinchas, he writes all different, inyanim that are muskar in glasses, like things that glasses stand for, and glasses is the side of Malchus, and helps for Tefillah, and helps for Giluyim. He writes different things, and in there he writes one very fascinating thing about the Apterav. He says, and it's really a play in a Gemara, but he says that the Apterav, when you would come to him with the kvittel to daven for something, you give the Apterav the kvittel, and he would daven, and you wanted to know if it was going to be matzliach or not, meaning was this a tefillah that was going to work, were you going to get the result you wanted? He says if the Apterav rubbed his glasses while he was davening, then everybody knew you were going to get what you came for. If he didn't rub his glasses, he didn't know what you were going to come for. Now essentially this is really a play on the Gemara. The Gemara in the end of the 5th parak in Brachas says that Rav Gamliel, Pamachas Rav Gamliel had a chayla b'tech beisai, and he sent a messenger to Rav Chanina ben Deis, I think, to ask him to daven for his child. Rav Chanina ben Deis, seeing the messenger coming beforehand, he already chapped what was going on. He knew this was Rav Gamliel's gabbai. He went upstairs, he started davening. Then he comes down and he asks Rav Gamliel's gabbai, what brings you here? He says, I'm here because Rav Gamliel has a child who's sick and he needs Yeshua. So he says, no, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. So it says that the gabbai of Rav Gamliel marked down the time that this took place, and he went home, and taka that minute is when the child opened his eyes and started asking for water. This is the Gemara Bracha, straight up. And the Gemara asks, how did Rav Chanina ben Deisa know when a tefillah was going to be niskabel and when a tefillah was not being niskabel? And Rav Chanina ben Deisa says, if I see that my tefillah is flowing off smoothly from my lips, but yedei that it's going to be answered. And if I see that it's not, it's megumgum, it's not coming off smoothly, then I'm less certain of the tefillah. So essentially, the gimgum is replaced with rubbing of the glasses, meaning it's essentially the same concept. Like a good tefillah will get a result, a shvachat tefillah will get a result. I rather saw in a sefer to be masber that if the Apterav was really crying and was really, then glasses get foggy and glasses get uncomfortable. So if he had to rub his glasses, it means he was really orangutan in these tefillahs. So it's essentially right that tefillah shkura b'fiv. And if he didn't have to rub his glasses, it means it wasn't such a a strong tefillah, so then the results would be less guaranteed. Now, these are two fascinating stories. One about a Litvak, ostensibly. Two Chassidish stories. One about a Litvak and one about a Chassid. But both in regards to glasses. Now, in regards to the Shabbos aspect of glasses, so really the shayla that I was clearing is as follows. We spoke last week about the need to have Big Day Shabbos, right? Now, the Gemara in Shabbos, the Chafid Gimel, and the Yerushalmi and Pei are very clear that the Chiv of Big Day Shabbos is Big Day Shabbos. It doesn't say you have to get a new table for Shabbos, you have to get a new... It says Big Day Shabbos. Chibadata means Shalete Malbushcha Shal Chol Ke Malbushcha Shal Shabbos. And therefore we behandled, what about shoes? What about things that are not directly called a malbush, right? And Tzitz Eliezer put together a whole list of different rayas from all over different sugyas as to whether shoes are malbush, not whether the nichla on the Chiv of Shabbos. The question came down to whether it's malbush or not. So essentially the shayla is, how do you look at glasses? Are glasses malbush? And therefore, or glass is not malbush. So now, it's Yidua, everybody knows that the Chazon Ish was very makbid, that people shouldn't wear. The Chazon Ish had special glasses for Shabbos, right? The Chazon Ish had special glasses for Shabbos that wrapped around like an extra half a time, so that they were holding on much better. There's many different people who have different edison. They went into the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish would, the mashal I saw in the Hakdama to Maisa Ish, he says he went into the Chazon Ish, and he asked the Chazon Ish, well, what about these glasses for Shabbos? And the Chazon Ish told him, it's a Safek Deraisa, maybe it's just a Rabbim. He says, but everyone wears glasses like this for Shabbos. The Chazon Ish says, come closer. He brought him closer. He says, the Chazon Ish grabbed his ears, and he told him it has to go like this. Wrap it around. Tie a rope till it goes around till here. And he says, for real? And he said 2-3 times the Chazon Ish showed him on his own ear where it's supposed to go up to. So the Chazon Ish strongly felt that a person has to have Shabbos glasses, but not because it's malbush and you have to have a shinoi of the malbush of glasses for Shabbos. Chazon Ish held that it's a Safek Deraisa of carrying, and therefore you have to have Shabbos glasses. So that's not so relevant to our conversation. Now, what is the shmuz about carrying in Shabbos? And maybe there is some nafkaminus to what we're talking about. So the Mechaber in Siman Shin Aleph, in Siman Shin Aleph Yud Aleph, the Mechaber brings down a Ramah. It's really the Ramah. The Ramah brings down that you can't carry the brillin on Shabbos. Now, brillin are glasses. the Maramah brings down, you can't carry the brilliant on glasses, even if the case is made out of kesef izav, so it's fancy and it's beautiful and it's a tachshit. Still, this is not a derech to carry it, and you can't carry it on Shabbos. As the Ramah. Now, right off the bat, the Ramah is not talking about what we're talking about, because the Ramah is discussing carrying the case that holds the glasses in them. Granted, there are glasses in the case as well, and maybe glasses are tzarich refuah, or glasses you need, and it could be other, tzadim lahakol, but the Ramah is talking about carrying the case of glasses. So that's not what we're talking about. The Mishabur brings down from the Chayyadam, and other places say this as well, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and other places from that Tkufa say this. The Mishabur brings from the Chayyadam that to wear glasses in the street on Shabbos is a Safek Chil Shabbos Deiraisa, and you can't wear glasses on Shabbos. Now, from the Paiskim who lived, 200 years ago, it's common to find amongst the Paiskim the tzad lesser by glasses, because I guess glasses were not that well made, and they didn't really stay on your face that well, and they could easily fall off. And I think it wasn't so clear that getting the prescriptions exactly right, and people didn't wear them in such a committed tadiristic fashion like today. Today, someone wears glasses, the glasses don't come off his face, right? He wears his glasses, that's it. Back then, the glasses were a little less, a little more shoddy. Meaning, you bought a pair of glasses, it wasn't after tailor-made to your needs. So there can be times when it's convenient, times when it's inconvenient, and it could be something that comes off. So amongst the earlier places, like 200 years ago, you'll find that a lot of places can say wearing glasses on Shabbos is asur. But starting already from the Binyan Siyan and from the Binyan Siyan and other places, like turning into the 1900s, you're going to see all the places, Kemat everybody is starting to say that glasses are considered, something you can wear on Shabbos. And a lot of the sprach that they use is that it's derech malbush. It's the way you wear an article of clothing. It's derech malbush bekach, when you wear glasses. So perhaps there's some sort of raya there that glasses are a malbush. Glasses is another article of clothing, meaning you can't tell me that I mean, maybe you could, but it's much harder to be makel about something that isn't a pair of clothing with derech malbush. Meaning, in order for it to be derech malbush, it has to be something that's suitable to wear in a malbush-tika fashion. So if you see all the places, the Binyan Siyan says it in these words, the Shalom Meshiv says it in these words, the Binyan Siyan says it in these words, that it's derech malbush bekach, so it's a shtickle malbush. Glasses is also a malbush. Maybe, we could have looked at glasses like a refuah, it's like some sort of medicine, or glasses is a malbush, something you wear on your face. Now, it's a smach. It's not, I wouldn't say it's very convincing, this raya that glasses is a malbush in regards to needing Shabbos glasses. Now, there's another potential raya that I was thinking about, and this is mamash a zaytik sugya, but I think it might have to do with this, and that's as follows. There's a shmuz about kayhanim and glasses. Now, Shtalzuch is in a lot of different ifanim, but there's a shmuz about kayhanim and glasses. Now, a kayan who loses his eyesight, pashas is that's not a mum. Mumim in the eyes for a kayan have to be physical deformities in the eye. Something's broken with the eye. The eye is deformed. Something's wrong with the eye. Just diminished vision is not considered a mum for the kayan. So a kayan who has, a 400 prescription is kosher to work in the Beis HaMikdash. If you look at the sugi of mumim, look at the Rambam, look at the Paiskim, that's not a mum for a kayan. So now what would be taka? Could a kayan wear glasses in the Beis HaMikdash? Or for example, another shmuz that's handled is a kayan's job is to look at the neged tzaras, right? If you come with the neged tzaras to the kayan has to tell you is a whole mesechtas negayim, and there's a lot of pratim and what the nega has to look like, and the kayan is machriya for you if this nega is real nega, not nega, yitame, yitar, etc. So let's start with nega, and we'll get to kayan in the Beis HaMikdash. So by negayim, there's a Taras Yisrael in mesechtas negayim that brings a raya as follows. He handles a zaken, a kayan zaken. She'ein of chalashim, his eyes got weak. Ve'eni yachal liris yafa. He could only see al yidei batei einayim. He could only see by wearing glasses. Is he allowed to look at the negayim and pascha like this? So says the Taras Yisrael that the Gemara in Brachas and Daf Chafei says that erva ba'ashashis is also likrish kriyish ma connected. The halacha is if there's erva connected a glass window like a television or something like that, a person can't daven in front of it because erva ba'ashashis is erva. And this is not a chumrah, this is something that's brought ladina. Erva lashashis is also you're not allowed to daven in front of it. So says the Taras Yisrael, if erva lashashis is called a re'iyah, and therefore you're not allowed to daven in front of it, so negayim ba'ashashis, meaning seeing the nega through the glasses, is also a re'iyas negayim, and the kayin can be semach on it. That's what the Taras Yisrael says. He brings a raya from that Gemara. Now, there are those who are ma'ira in the Taras Yisrael that the Mishnah negayim in Parak Gimel, the Mishnah says that a kayin amaretz could be raya negayim also. He just has to have a Yisrael Talmud Chacham to help him out. Dahainu, Yisrael Talmud Chacham looks at it, paskins the shayla, tells the kayin this is tamei, this is tar, and the kayin just has to look and say tamei tar. So kilu, the kayin's riyah is not that important. The kayin's not really daning, doesn't have to be daning a grace and mara shayla. The kayin could almost be saimach on someone else's, vision, So maybe the riyah that's necessary from the goyim is not such a riot that kohen being able to wear. Now, where it tells the chayis would be, what about Beis Hamikdash? And Beis Hamikdash, the halacha is that a meruba begadim, someone who's wearing too many clothing, more than the prescribed amount of clothing, is pasal avodah. Would someone be wearing glasses be called a meruba begadim? Now, if you could be called a meruba begadim, I think then we'd have a raya that it's called a beged. Then we'd have a raya that glasses is a beged if he's called a meruba begadim. So the Divrei Malkiel has a very interesting tshuva. A lot of it's about public policy, but he has very interesting tshuva. It's machlekes to Divrei Malkiel and the Shalom Meshiv. A sheichet who needs to wear glasses, could he stay being a sheikh or not? So they brought the shayla to the Shalom Meshiv, and the Shalom Meshiv said that a sheikh who needs glasses can't be relied upon. He can't see well enough to know what he's doing, befrat with the bedikas, and stuff like that. He's not going to be able to see well. It's interesting to note, rather, that a big chelik of the bedikas by shchita. I mean, this is not relevant to how we get our meat today, but when they were doing bedikas hareya, there's a siman in Shulchan Aruch, I think it's siman lamed vav in Yeridea, bedikas hareya. It's all about colors. Meaning, Nida is not the only place where there's maris. By Bedikas Areya, checking the lung of an animal after Shechita, there's also a big maris sugya. So maris is very, very relevant over there. There's a tremendous amount of detail and nuance in the colors and shades of the bruising and the scar tissue and how to draw conclusions about what it is. So could a sheikh be relied upon for this? Now the glasses ostensibly fix his vision. So now he could see maris, right? Now he could see what the color of the ray looks like. Could he be semichet or not? The Shalom Meshiv says someone who needs to rely on like a crutch. He has something, an outside thing that helps him. Can't rely on that. It's what happens if his glasses are dirty one day? What happens if the sunlight is reflecting off his glasses? It's an outside crutch. You can't follow zachanim. Now the Divrei Malkiel brings a few rayas that riyah through zchuchas is called riyah, and it's it's good enough and whatever. And then he morphs into this like public policy thing. He says a fascinating idea. He says if you're going to tell a sheikhet that the minute his eyesight starts dimming and he needs glasses, he's not kosher to be a sheikhet. He says, tell me which sheikhet is actually going to get glasses when he needs them. Every sheikhet is just going to say, my eyes are fine. He says, you're going to end up having sheikhtim who can't see, who don't have glasses. Chach, you let them get glasses, you'll have sheikhtim who can't see with glasses. You have sheikhtim who can't see and they're not going to get glasses, you're making the incentive structures, you're going to mess up the incentive structure. This is what the Divrei Malkiel says, and says, therefore, it doesn't make sense to disallow a sheikhet who needs glasses. Now, in the middle over here, he brings, he goes off to this side tangent about a kohen being kosher if he needs glasses or not. And then it's a one line over here, and there are those who argue it, but it's a one line over here. The Malkiel says, Al Kapanim, he says, B'lav hachinira, this is the line, B'lav hachinira, he says, Shekayin haya aser lulvish bate einayim b'shas avoda. He says, it's pasha to me that forget about all the shmooze, if a kohen could see nega, if a kohen's kosher, if his eyesight is diminished, if it's public policy, sound public policy to leave a sheikh who needs glasses or not. He says, B'vadai b'lavachi, it's nirali, shekayin haya aser lulvish bate einayim b'shas avoda, dahavik etesefes begadim v'ayim be'er v'tafgofid gimel. He says it's called meruba begadim. If a kohen's wearing glasses in the Beis Hamikdash, he brings a raya from wearing Erevin that it's called meruba begadim. So now, potentially, you could bring a raya from this Divrei Malkiel that if he's going to say that a kohen is called meruba begadim when he wears glasses, it's called like he's wearing too many clothing, then perhaps glasses are taka looked at as a beged. If glasses are looked at as a beged, then maybe that's a raya that there would be, epis and inyan in having Shabbos glasses, just like the rest of the begadim. Now, I don't know how much this is worth, but they asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky in a few different places this question, and Rav Chaim was very ulais, a lot of ulais, and a lot of im yeshla ulai, whatever. I don't know, make of that what you want, meaning, because it's not necessary, it's not the best thing, not the worst thing, that's what Rav Chaim's response to was. Now, this is all on the tzad that only begadim are included in Shabbos clothing. I did find that the Chavas Yair, in his Sefer Makar Chaim and Ar Chaim, Chavas Yair says that on Shabbos a person should have a different cheer than he sits in during the week. And he's masbrid based on a medrash and a Gemara, where he's medayik that the idea of Shabbos clothing is beged sheh, the clothing that an Eved wore while he prepared the food for his master, for Shabbos Kilu, is not the clothing that he wears while he serves it to his master. There's a medrash that says this, meaning the Yisayid of Shabbos clothing is not just v'chibadatai, not just kavod Shabbos, it's also like, you step it up a notch. Now you're royalty. So says the Chavas Yair, based on that, there'd be a reason to also have a Shabbos cheer. Now if that would be the case, so then one could make an argument that you should have gold glasses, fancy glasses for Shabbos, because it's part of, dressing up. Meaning, and this is taka something that's certainly seeped in, that we dress up for Shabbos, right? It's not just you get the same clothing, just a second pair for Shabbos. Everyone dresses up for Shabbos. So there's this idea, this other concept that's brought down based on a medrash and based on a Gemara, that we dress up for Shabbos, not just other clothing. Now, incidentally, just to wrap up this Big the Shabbos thing, there's two more little paparayas I just want to share. The first of all, the Yisei D'Sherish Aveda in his tzava, I believe it's his tzava. The Yisei D'Sherish Aveda in his tzava, and maybe not his tzava, maybe something. I think it's his tzava or something his children wrote after he died. Right after he died, they wrote that every Erev Shabbos he would say, "Thank you, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, for a lot of things." On every Erev Shabbos. If people are familiar with the Sefer Yisei D'Sherish Aveda, he's very busy thanking Hakadosh Baruch Hu for the opportunity to be a Yid. If you look in a lot of his Pirushim on Tefillah, Yisei D'Sherish Aveda is always thanking Hakadosh Baruch Hu for the opportunity to be a Yid, to be close, to do. So one of the thank yous that he used to say is you say, "Ani noisim l'cha hidal shenasata bi big adam chashuvim l'kvayit Shabbos Kodesh B'rachamech Rabba." He'd say, "Thank you, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that you gave me nice clothing for Shabbos that I could wear." B'chazdecha gedolim. So this is the Yisei D'Sherish Aveda. Now one more nakuda, and this is seasonal. I started learning Megillah l'chvayid Purim that's coming up, and I came across a Gemara on Daf Yud Gimel and Beis in Megillah, where the Gemara talks about the Midah Keneged Midah of Vashti, and it says that Vashti was called to the party Aruma, and the Gemara says, what's the Midah Keneged Midah? That she had Jewish servant girls that she would make them work Aruma, and Midah Keneged Midah she was summoned to the party Aruma. Now the Taisus Rush, Afanard, it's a one-line Taisus Rush. Taisus Rush says, Yesha Imrim, I think he says, and this is not Pashat Pshat. Rashi doesn't learn like this. Other Rishonim don't learn like this. Yesha Imrim, that she didn't make them work Aruma. She made them work on Shabbos wearing weekday clothing. That's what this Rush says. She made them work on Shabbos wearing weekday clothing. And he says the Midah Keneged Midah was not that she should have to come to Aruma, but that she was summoned to a party. Come to a party dressed vachadik. I mean, don't come in a ball gown. Come dressed for the week. That was the Midah Keneged Midah. So it's just I never knew this. I bumped into it literally this week. It must be Basher. The Rush says that this was the Midah Keneged Midah. Okay, I think that's what I have on glasses for now.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.